Gale nearly got a flick on that.
Can he put it into the path of Latterline? He's thinking about going himself. Latterline and Latterline! Oh, that's a wonderful goal!
They want to Benjamin. Just holding off him. Benjamin twisting, turning, that's
It's Liam Henderson to deliver. David Gray has scored.
Hello and welcome back. Much like Hibernian Football Club, we are guaranteeing you 17 seconds of quality content, and who knows how it's going to go after that. Craig, how are we getting on?
I am not bad at all, mate. I'm recovering after a relatively disappointing end to the game.
Yeah, Liam, just not a very good 4 days of Hibernian football.
No. I think my whole sensible football club moniker that I was going with during the summer seems to be dissipating almost with every game that passes, and we're starting to maybe stray into being very unsensible again.
Aye. But let's get into let's just get straight into the game. Fuck the Rangers game, that was too far ago. Don't care, they've been knocked out of cup since. Haha, get it round them. But we weren't much better. Craig, talk to me about the team lineup. There was a few changes from midweek, the most notable probably being that Bowie came out of the team. Were you shocked to see that? And what did you make of the starting 11?
Was I shocked to see it on form? No, but probably realistically, yes, because it's just kind of what we've been used to seeing so far this season, as Bowie and either Clegia or Boyle, one of the two of them. So shocked from a yes, I didn't expect it to happen, but I think on form it's justified, really, wasn't it?
And William?
Aye, nothing really to add. I think Craig's the nail on the head. It felt like a justified change just based on sort of recent performance levels, I suppose. And there weren't really any, I don't know, other concerns for me in terms of the lineup. I looked at the lineup. I think it was on my way through by this point, and I looked at it and I was like, that looks fine. Quite happy with that. No concerns.
Aye. And we started the game off with a lump up top. Clegia, who we always love to give praise for jumping like a salmon, wins a header against one of their 8-foot tall players. And then absolute corker for McGrath. And I thought, you know what, we're onto something here. Like, I know it was only like 17 seconds or whatever, but we looked like we were going to bring high tempo. We were going to be playing the ball forward at pace. Everything was going to be good. And then we didn't really do anything for the following 45 minutes. The crowd got progressively more angry as the game went. And Craig, is it fair to say Livingston deserved the equaliser going into halftime?
I thought they deserved more than an equaliser, to be honest, given how poor we were. It was interesting, obviously, when we were at the game, like you say, the feeling amongst the Hibs end, despite the fact we were 1-0 up, was getting increasingly more and more negative. And at first, we were all kind of sitting there going, all right, everybody needs to calm down and relax. Like, we're still 1 up here. And then the more and more it went on, and the more and more I watched us play, it actually felt justified, some of it. Some of the frustration, to be fair, because without a doubt, that's one of the worst halves of football I've watched Hibs in for a while, to be honest. I thought we were absolutely horrendous in the first half. Out with that first 17 seconds. It just got bad. It got really, really poor, to be honest.
Right. And Liam, this is an issue I was going to mention because I always like to mention it when Hibs aren't playing great. But JStar1964, or 1964 probably, said, we look so soft in midfield, like before we got Nectar again. Do you think that the middle of the park was the main issue? I'm going to do a unit. I'm going to layer the question with my context before I actually let you answer. Shout out my boy. But for me, I think in the first half, Dan Barlaser, I can't remember him doing anything at all on the ball. And then at the start of the second half, on the other foot, I thought he picked the ball up twice off the centre backs and played some decent balls forward. So I don't know if it was an instruction thing that they were supposed to just boycott the midfield, but first half it was really hard to watch.
Barlaser would have been anonymous in the first half had it not been for that one that he took on the right hand side. He took a good touch and then just kicked it straight out of the park, which he did against Rangers a couple of occasions as well. It is a bit worrying that and it's not just Barlaser necessarily, because there's been other players who've been in the team who've done it before, but it is a wee bit worrying when your centre midfielders are are entirely anonymous, and all you can really remember is something.
Well,
Has been
all we
obviously.
Sorry, Liam, didn't mean to cut you off. There is some tech issues, so if you can work on that for a second, myself and Craig. Craig, what's your opinion on that? You're obviously a bigger Barlaser fan than myself and Liam are. My point there wasn't to just point the finger at Dan and say it was his fault for us losing, but do you agree that the midfield just weren't getting on the ball enough?
Oh, I thought he was really poor, to be honest. I thought he was really poor, and the rest of the midfield were poor as well, and especially in that first half. I thought Chaiwa, everything he'd done was rushed. He had low quality on the ball, and even there was a couple of occasions where he picked up the ball in midfield and was clearly going for the right pass, like it was the right ball, but he just didn't let it get out of his feet or didn't settle himself, and then the final ball was poor, to be honest. I mean, McGrath, other than his goal, which obviously is an important moment in any game, if you score a goal like that automatically gives you some props and gives you a wee bit of a dig out. But I actually forgot he was on the park in the first half, to be honest. I thought he was just not in the game at all, really. And like you say, Ballister toiled massively, really toiled at the weekend. And bizarrely, compared to last time we played at Livingston away, and the pitch was dead slow, and we're obviously in the lead up to it, they told us how good this pitch was and how it was playing more akin to a grass pitch, but we didn't find that in the first time. And then this time it was like fast as anything. I couldn't believe how fast the ball was zipping off the surface. And I was saying to you and Ewan at the game, I didn't know that maybe if it took us by surprise or something, but it shouldn't, because we've warmed up on it. It was a bizarre first half, just really unlike us.
Liam, I know we come on this and we don't like to just hammer the team, but we need to just keep hammering them. It was like everybody just had a down day, wasn't it?
I mean, the first half in particular was wretched. Like, it was so bad. I just honestly, there was nothing other than that. As you've said, that great strike from McGrath. There was nothing in the first half to talk about, nothing to celebrate. I mean, there wasn't even like there was like a challenge that got everyone up on their feet and got them excited. It was just a first half played out with zero intensity, zero interest. It was just all those cliches that people draw out about going away and playing Livy away. It was exactly that, but worse. Like, it was so bad.
And like, I know we probably all say it very dramatically several times throughout the season, but I do genuinely think, like, for a full 90 minutes, I think it was our worst performance of the season. I don't think we deserved anything out of the game. I think that we kind of smash and grabbed a 2-1 victory until obviously Olivia got their penalty in the last minute. Was that actually a penalty, by the way? Just
I've not seen it back, but in the game I thought it was. I've definitely seen an outstretched hand. It looked like he had his back to the ball. That was the only thing.
Aye, so I think I was up at the other end for you, so I was close to that. And at the time when I saw it, I went, "That's a penalty." But I haven't looked back at it. And to be honest, I've not seen anyone say to the contrary. So I think let's just assume it is.
Yeah,
it's not an offside decision. I mean, the offside decisions obviously caused quite a lot of controversy in the last 48 hours, but there's no controversy, I don't think, surrounding the penalty from what I've seen.
All right, well, let's, because I've decided to just kind of fuck up the order here, but let's go on to that just now, Liam. The bedwetting may officially begin. Talk us through that decision, because fucking hell.
The offside specifically, mate,
yeah.
And by the way, sorry, if my connection cuts out subconsciously, it's my fault. Feel free to just talk over the top of me. I promise. I won't leave the podcast. I won't leave the podcast. I won't cry about it or anything like that.
Would you sign for another podcast if you did? Sorry.
Depends on the terms that we were discussing. Hopefully they do a sign-in video for me. Where was I going with that? Fucking hell, it's been a while since we've had one of them. I fucking forgot what I was talking about. Oh, the penalty. Oh, mate. The offside, like that.
Offside.
Like, that is fundamentally right. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about VAR and explain it, because I'm bored of it being a discussion point. But fundamentally, that is not what VAR was brought in to do. I think that's all I'll say on it. It was not brought in to judge whether someone's a hair's breadth offside or not. Like, what value is adding adding to the game of football? What value? It's time that they explored other rules, I think, is how I would put it. I just think they need to explore other rules and just get it sorted, because it's adding nothing to the game. It's benefit the doubt to the defensive team every time. I'm sick fed up of people talking about it as well, to be honest. So I'm not going to say any more on it. Not the decision itself. I mean, just VAR generally. It's bored me to tears.
Craig, it was one of those ones that I got a message from good old Fran, and that's my dad, just for reference, and he said, "Oh, we've scored, it's on site," and then it got disallowed, and then the next message from him was, "What the fuck?" It was just one of those ones. It was hard at the ground. I think we were both under the impression that he probably just drifted off, but when you watch it back, it's like,
no, like you say, we knew it was tight, and it was one of these ones where you definitely could tell that it was tight. But I mean, to me, it's level. I don't think we need to say it's either ahead or behind it. He's bang level. Like it's extremely frustrating. If it happens, if it goes in your favour, it's one of these ones where you say, well, the rules are the rules and this and that. But tough to take because that's 3-1 up at that stage and game over. So,
Game's done, eh? Game's done.
The only thing I will say in defence of the officiating team, and it's something that I've banged on a bit before, if it's that close and they can't make their mind up, I'm always of the impression just stick with what happened on the pitch. So I don't know if it was just too tight for them to decide whether it was enough to overturn it, which if that is the case, then it'd be hypocritical for me to not say fair enough. But we've got some very minor positive things. No offence to Jason, lad. Craig, can you pin that comment? We've not went as deranged as this. I love Rocky Bashiri, but I don't think that he should be the sitter in the midfield. I think that idea, when we thought that was the same case with Efe Ambrose, and then we went to Kilmarnock away, and it was one of the worst performances we'd ever seen in a Hibs top. Like I just don't think that Rocky would do too well in midfield.
I wonder how many thousand hours of coaching he would need to be able to take the ball on the half turn.
I was gonna say,
oh no,
he's in fairness to Jason, like, I'm not going to have a pop or anything. I understand what he means with presence and tackling and defensive stuff, but I just don't think he has the ability on the ball under pressure to deal with being in a position like that. He's seen it actually a number of times against Rangers when he was even at right centre half. I thought he looked like he was struggling at times when he had a player on him and he got the ball. Yeah, Liam, you've said it there. A half turn with a player on him would just give me the absolute fear.
It's I mean, it's the hardest thing. I would argue one of the hardest things to do in football is take the ball in the half turn when you've got a man coming and closing you down from behind, and you've got to have the ability to know which way to go. You've got to have eyes in the back of your head, essentially. It takes a long time to teach people how to play that position. It's not something you can just get thrown in. I do remember, because he was quite good on the ball and had quite a cultured left foot, a lot of people used to shout for Paul Hanlon to play that position back in the day as well. There was a reason that he was never tried there. Remember Lee Johnson started playing Porteous there? We talked through this field recently, didn't we? Remember Lee Johnson just started playing Porteous there?
Imagine how many red cards he would get in a career if he played there.
Aye, right enough.
Yeah, one stroke of genius that doesn't get spoke about enough. Mind how good Lewis Stevenson was in that position. He was fucking gravy. We played him there for about 2 months straight, and he was unreal. I remember him.
He started as a midfielder though, so he had a bit of a head start. I know he was a left mid, but he did have a bit of a head start on some of those guys.
The most underrated defender turned defensive midfielder is Stephen Whittaker in his second spell. Unbelievable, underrated as fuck. He was part of a poor Hibs side and got made the scapegoat.
I didn't really want to hear about you two, Ray, and you both rated Mark Milligan, so I think we enough said about that. Let's move on.
Right, let's talk about actual positives. There was 2 positives that I'm going to list, and both of them came in the second half. And both of them, I think, played a decent part in the goal. Miguel Chaiwa, who, when he starts running, just he loses the ball about 7 times and the ball just stays at his feet somehow. I don't understand the amount of times that guy gaslights me by dribbling is unbelievable. And then secondly, I thought Mulligan had a really good second half. I think we're in the awkward position of him probably being the best right wing back at the club, but I feel we always do miss a bit of something whenever he comes out of that position. Like comes out of the middle of the park. Oh, John, we're on the same wavelength there. Lots of creativity in the second half came from Mulligan when he was around the box. Really need to have him in midfield.
It comes down to he's the best right wing back potentially, but he's also the best centre midfielder. So it comes down to what's more important. And for me, the centre of the park is probably more important than your right wing back. Also, you have to look at how much of a drop off there is in between. I suppose the next man up in terms of who plays in that position. Chris Cadden was perfect, in fact, better than perfectly fine the last time out against Livingston. I would suggest against the lesser teams in this league, he would be absolutely fine there most weeks. It's just that the performance was so bad for those first 20 minutes against Rangers on Wednesday that it probably did warrant being dropped, in all fairness. But, to bring it back to a positive, Chai was very good. He's very good at dribbling. There's some positional elements of the game that he can definitely improve on, and he can definitely improve in the final third from what I've seen as well.
Craig, have you got any other positives to throw in there?
It's a difficult one. Boyle's take's good. His goal's good, and it's good for him as well. I think to get a goal. We were sitting at the game trying to work out the last time he did score, which I think we came to Falkirk penalty. Was it? Maybe that was the last time he scored before that. And penalties. I, as a footballer, I don't know, but I wouldn't imagine penalties will give you anywhere near the satisfaction that a goal from open play would. So, it was good to see him on the score sheet again. Lovely take as well. Not entirely convinced he meant his first touch to drop the way it did, but if he did, fair play. Chaiwa was very good, and I think was that for his goal as well. It was. Chaiwa was good in that. Like you said earlier, Harry, we were noticing at the game sometimes he looks like he's lost the ball. He doesn't look like he's in control of the ball, and it looks like the ball's taking him for a walk, but he just somehow manages. It's like these players that play at fives, and you're like, how on earth has he still kept the ball there? He's bundled his way through like 5 players and still somehow managed to drag it out. So I think there's definite potential with Chaiwa, but definitely a bit raw.
And this is a comment. Boom, Pete Moran. I like it when the YouTube comments agree with me. It makes me feel like I'm saying something right. And big shout and experimental, but Chaiwa at right wing back could work to ensure Mulligan is in the middle of the park where he's definitely needed. I just think with the drive that Chaiwa has, I just think this makes a lot of sense. And I think I couldn't imagine him getting skinned overly often in one-on-one situations. I know against maybe like a Rangers and Celtic when they've got really strong wingers, maybe. But I just think against most of the teams in the league, he could probably like hold his own there. Liam, you look sceptical.
I think he played there for Young Boys, didn't he? I remember looking at his FOT mob, and that was one of his sort of secondary positions. I don't know. I'd need to see it, to be honest. But again, I don't love it because we're shoehorning a guy who is a centre midfielder out to play in what's not his natural position. And I think for as long as we've been doing this, I've been an advocate for playing players in their natural positions, but just coaching them better to do the things that are going to not show up their deficiencies quite as much. I do think the thing that's sort of overlooked a wee bit from the Cadden performance on Wednesday night, and big part of why there's a large clamour to drop him, is he was playing with Rocky Bashiri inside him, and he's had Warren O'Hora or Lewis Miller inside him for the last year and a half. And I do think what.
The phrasing could have been a bit better there, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Playing inside of him. No, that doesn't make it any better, does it? Playing to the left of him. Behind him. We'll go with that. Anyway, move on.
Oh God. Let's. Geez, one other thing I want to mention on the game. Obviously, we weren't great. I think we came out the second half pretty good, but then we got our goal, and there was players getting ready to come on, and we followed through and we made the subs. Craig, do you think that Gray should have potentially rethought that and then maybe held off for another 10 minutes? Because it did, for me, the change of shape after we did make the changes did seem to kind of reset them back to close to how they were playing in the first half.
Like, how do you mean? He shouldn't have made the subs?
Yeah, like after the goal was scored.
Hindsight's easy, isn't it? But I do actually remember commenting at the game that I still thought we should have done it regardless, even the fact that we just scored. Because I'm a big fan of proactive management and changes and changing things based on what you've seen, not on, I'll wait 10 minutes and then see what happens. Do it when there's a problem and try and be proactive with it. So in hindsight, it's definitely easy to say, oh no, maybe you shouldn't have done that. But I would be a liar if I said at the time that I didn't think the subs were necessary. So
I wasn't jumping up and down screaming about the substitutions either at the time, to be honest. I think they were obviously scheduled. They were getting ready quite long before the goal, actually. He normally makes a substitution around the hour mark, doesn't he? Because that's something that's been highlighted. By the way, it's on my mind now, can I just get that off my chest with the weekend, that boy on Twitter that said Gray's a bad manager because he makes multiple substitutions in the second half?
How dare any manager
that logic
make changes?
That logic was outstanding. It was the fact that he pinpointed the second half as well. I was like, see, if he said the first half, you could almost like see a point of view there. And then when I asked him to provide examples of managers that don't make substitutions in the second half, he says he doesn't know because he doesn't watch any other football apart from Hibs.
Clearly.
So he's a real expert on the game there. He's a bad manager because he makes substitutions in the second half. I just honestly could not believe that comment. Sorry, Harry.
No, mate, no. We're going to come on to it. Is there anything else you want to touch on in the game? And I almost don't want to bring up the topic because we talked about it so many times last season of the whole why can't Hibs hold on to leads? It's something that's slowly creeping back. Me and Craig covered it. It wasn't actually as bad as we thought, Craig, was it? I think it's like 4 games we've thrown away from winning positions.
5, I think. I think we counted 5.
But that's including some European ties as well. So it's like domestically, I think we've dropped like 6 points total from positions, which isn't good. But
yeah, but it's 5 games out of I can't mind how many games we said we've had this season, competitive games so far, in all comps. But say it was like 16, 17, something like that. That's still not a great percentage to be ahead in that many games and be throwing that many points away. To be fair, it's absolutely clearly a problem.
Well, J-Star says we've let in 14 goals at pivotal points in games. That seems like a lot of goals to have conceded.
What's a pivotal point in a game? What is that at the end of either half?
Yeah, I would say towards the end of either half. Yes, I would. To be fair, I think they're probably classed as the most important parts of football matches because generally either the game is decided or momentum's decided at that time of the game.
I guess you could say it is the most important, but I mean, we also scored after 17 seconds. I would argue that's quite a pivotal part of the game, to be honest. Like an early goal does tend to decide games, doesn't it? Quite often.
Do you think? I don't know, because then it gives you could obviously yes, you could argue that, but you could also make the argument that it gives the other team 90 minutes to get back into the game.
It's definitely pivotal when you concede. I'm not sure it's so pivotal when you score. It's one of those ones. You know what I mean? Like if you was like when things are not going well, it's pivotal. But when you score, it's like it was good to get that goal in the stroke half time. But you wouldn't say it was pivotal, would you? I don't know. It feels to me. I do get the point, right? But it does feel to me it's like a bit of another. It's a bit of another stick to sort of beat the team at the moment is the time that we're conceding goals at. When I think the reality is there's never a good time to concede a goal.
Oh, of course.
But let's just come on to the elephant in the room. David Gray, I think we're probably all on the same wavelength. I'll kick us off and then I'll bring in a point from Twitter that I think summarises my view quite well. But I'm exhausted of being annoyed at Hibs. Hibs are currently sat third in the table. We had an absolute shitmare start to last season, and then we had probably the best run of any of our lifetimes. Absolutely stupendous end to the season, which had one of the best weeks again of our lifetime supporting Hibs when we beat Dundee United, Celtic and Hearts all in the same week. Like Hibs just aren't in a bad place. Like we've seen multiple relegations, we've seen some very terrible players haunt Easter Road with some terrible managers in the dugout, and Gray definitely should be criticised. I think that the way we're setting up in some games hasn't been good enough, but I just don't think we're at panic stations yet. And you and Craig tweeted a tweet from us earlier on said if Hearts weren't doing so well this season, this wouldn't even be a discussion, i.e. like Gray under any form of pressure. And I do think that probably does play into it, understandable so. Like, we want to be competing with Hearts regardless, we always want to be ahead of them. But I think if Hearts are sitting sixth in the table, we're somehow second based off like where we are. I don't think anybody's overly mad at Gray. Floor's open to someone to fall.
I think, unfortunately, it definitely does have a bearing. I was actually talking to somebody else today about that. Love it, love it. And the wider Hibs fan base, it absolutely does play a role in the narrative of how Hibs are doing, depending. Like, if Hearts were absolutely stinking right now, I don't think folk would be anywhere near as negative as they are just now. But I think you do have to try and look at it on a more realistic basis. With Hibs at the moment, we're not doing great. Nobody's saying we're doing great. I'm sure David Gray isn't saying we're doing terribly well, but it's definitely nowhere near the worst we've ever had or anything like that. And I think the calls for him to go are absolutely mental.
Aye, you can ask me a different question, or you just want me to follow on for what Craig said.
I'll say, well, what would your reaction be if we actually released a statement, club statement, David Gray sacked, like whilst we were sat third in the league? How do you actually think you'd react?
I'd be quite incredulous, to be honest, about it. I mean, I even think back to the Sean Maloney sack, and I was pretty like, in retrospect, it might have been the right thing to do, right? But I was pretty taken aback that they decided to get rid of him that early. I remember thinking to myself last season, towards the end of last season, after he put together that really good run, that would have him the credit in the bank that we'd at very least finish this season with the same manager that we started last season with, which would be like a whole new field, a whole new dimension for us. Like, we'd have had the same manager consistently for 2 seasons, because I thought he'll just have enough time bought and be backed by the fan base and whatever. But I just think it's so funny that people are reeling back so quickly. I think Craig summed up really well at the weekend when he said, paraphrasing, you hear a wee bit, Craig, but you said something along the lines of, football fans' reaction now when things aren't going well is just like, sack the manager, because that's how you cause change. You create change. When things aren't going well, sack the manager, and just hope that brings a bit of a change. But I think we, more than any club, probably should know that sacking the manager doesn't necessarily, and actually quite often, leads to worse things, as we've seen in our pretty recent past, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think when you look at the volume of managers that we've went through in the last few years, if you take that spell with Maloney, Jack Ross, Lee Johnson, all these types of guys that we went through in a really short period of time, and things just didn't get any better from manager to manager. I think you do have to get to a stage where, as a fan base, you looked at it and you go, well, maybe it isn't actually all down to a manager, or nowadays a head coach, because I think that's actually quite an important differential nowadays, because the manager or the head coach is ultimately got way less responsibility. As far as I can see, I'm not speaking as an expert, but it appears on the surface like the head coach takes way less responsibility in a football club, because there's ultimately more staff, and I think there's just more aspects of a modern day football club than there used to be. So whereas managers had total control before, head coaches ultimately just pretty much deal with the day-to-day football side of the club, and not so much the actual business and running and transfer side of the club. You've got whole departments dedicated to recruitment now, whereas before you wouldn't have had that. It would have been a lot more down to a manager to pick out the exact players he wanted, and they probably had a greater deal of control. But they still have to take the same amount of blame that they did before, although their influence and their responsibility is less. The blame and that they'll take if things go wrong is the same, if not larger, than it was before. So I think modern day football clubs, you have to look a lot deeper than just the head coach that does the interviews after a game. It's definitely not all their fault. Obviously, they decide the team and they have the last sign off on players and stuff. So of course you do have to apportion a certain amount of the blame to them. But I think we're definitely at a stage where in football it's not just a manager's fault.
I'm not going to name names because I don't like to criticise people and lambast them on the pod. But one of the comments was, I personally think David Gray has taken us as far as he can. His tactics are a bit boring and opponents are finding a way to play against us. Free kicks, corners, so predictable. I just think that's a bit made up, isn't it? Like, are they?
I think we got that he's taken us as far as he can comment a couple of times.
Yeah.
How the fuck can you assess that after 18 months? That's not something you say about someone after 18 months. Like, he's literally just finished his first season. How do you know how far he can take us? It's the sort of thing that, you know, when Aberdeen fans were saying that about Derek McInnes after 8 years, I was like, fair enough. Like, and I didn't necessarily think it was the right decision for them to sack him at the time, but I was like, do you know what? Fair enough. You've had 8 years of him. He probably has taken as far as you can. Go and try something new, you're entitled to it. It's not the sort of thing you say after less than 18 months in charge. It's just not. Like, taking us as far as he can doesn't really make any sense to me in that context. I thought it was interesting, to be honest, mate, because despite, you know, preaching that I was going to be a wee bit more disciplined, we're not looking at my phone between Saturday night and Monday, I did have a wee sort of scour around, and when we put out that tweet today, you know, asking about his future, I think we were all kind of like, we didn't really want to engage in the sort of clickbaity stuff, but people are talking about it, so we feel we need to talk about it. I think it was encouraging to see on Twitter that probably about 3/4 of the responses we got were, aye, absolutely, and quite a lot of people being like, it's ridiculous to even be discussing that. So I felt encouraged by that. But I don't know if you've looked at any of the Hibs Facebook groups, right? And not to make this like a Facebook or Twitter thing, but oh my God, there is some seriously deluded like chat on some of those pages. Like, it's brutal. Some of the things people are written out with. And it goes, do you know the thing about it as well? It becomes an echo chamber, so it goes unchallenged. Like, everything that's said goes unchallenged. And there was some absolute nonsense. Like, I was thinking about today, see if I had more time and I didn't have a job, I would just go through screenshotting all the ridiculous comments and like do a wee montage of all the nonsense that was said. It was just verging on like insane stuff that people are written out with.
I was actually saying to Harry after the Livy game at the weekend, when we were waiting in the car park coming out, I seen one accusing the players after the Rangers game of not trying during the game. I'm just like, how can people come out with just this absolute nonsense? That's like you say, encouragingly. I think sometimes you get caught up in when you see negative things and you see people in the replies. To be fair, it's usual suspects. Like, it's generally the same sort of people that you see doing it. You get caught up when you see these comments and think that is the view of the fan base as a majority, when realistically it's probably just a loud minority. And thankfully in this case, I would say still the vast majority of support wouldn't even entertain that conversation, because it is just so ridiculous, to be honest.
And can I just throw it there, and I've said it a few times, but David Gray has had the worst run of any Hibs manager in my lifetime of cup draws. Like, the draws he's got are literally insane. Celtic away, I know that was self-imposed because we didn't beat Kelty. Then Celtic away, and then we win our game in this cup. Then Rangers away, and then in Europe he got like probably the worst team in every draw possible. Like, at some point, we're going to get a Scottish Cup run where we can just cakewalk through everybody like Aberdeen done last year, and we're going to have a bad time because David Gray deserves it. I just see him being a very good cup manager. And if he proves me wrong there, then I'll say that David Gray's went as far as he could, but I don't think he will prove me wrong. I think it'd be magic. But I don't really want to speak too much more negatively about Gray. I just think that we've got a manager who loves the club. We should all love him, and let's all just try and be a bit happier, lads.
Can I give you a wee positive on that front, Harry? It's maybe just more a positive, or I'm trying to think the best way to phrase this. It shows that there's positivity in the club, because I was speaking to somebody today and I was saying I've actually never for years felt this amount of faith in the club and in a squad, that when things aren't going so great, and things aren't terrible just now, but in comparison relative to what they have been, but I personally have got such great faith in squad and in this setup that we will turn things around. I'm saying turn things around like we're doing bad, but we're third in the league. Do you know what I mean? You do have to look at it with perspective, but and turn these 5-6 draws in the league, a couple of them into wins in the next set of fixtures. So it's a nice change for me to have faith in a Hibs squad and in the character of a Hibs squad, because I don't think for a second that any of these results are down to a lack of character, a lack of fight or anything, or lack of effort, whatever it is. I do think we've come out on the wrong end of some fine margins, and I think it will turn around.
I'm the same. I see how many seasons were we like this sort of stage, exactly this time of the season, to be honest, early November, absolutely begging for January to come round like tomorrow, because we need to sign 5 or 6 players. Like that window under Lee Johnson, we were like, we just need to sign 5 or 6 players. This stage under Jack Ross, when we were really wouldn't win 13 games or something, we were begging for January to come round to do major surgery on the squad. Nick Montgomery, right, needs to get his own players in, needs major surgery at the squad in January. I actually go into this January window, I think, and I'm pretty confident I'll feel the same come Christmas time, that take away the AFCON stuff, because obviously we're going to lose some players to AFCON. I think that'll be difficult for us. But as I said, at the back end of August and probably right through the month of September, I still just think we need a physical front man to take some of the load off Bowie in that sort of Lyndon Dykes mould, and a right wing back. I think it's what we need in January. If we make 2 acquisitions in January, we'll be a much better team for it, I think. It's not going in there needing 5, 6, 7. I mean, even maybe even north of 5 or 6, 7 players under Lee Johnson that we were looking for to improve us. I think they'll have a really clear idea of what they need to do. And I'll be honest, I mean, the Dykes one was kind of out of David Gray's hands. I do feel a bit of sympathy for him that he's not got that option, because I think it was evident, that Bowie needed dropped at the weekend. But it was very evident to me when you took him out that we didn't really have another way of playing, to be honest, like without a big man up top to play Upton. That is the nature of this league, unfortunately. It's not about style of play. It is just fundamentally, I think, to be a team that survives in this league, you do have to have a physical option up front. Every team plays one, apart from Celtic.
Do you think, Liam, that I know you've cited a right wing back and a physical striker? Do you think a 6 is still needed?
I still think so, but I think you could get through to the end of the season without one. But I think, yeah, depends on whether we can get a bit more out of Barlasser or not, to be honest.
Because I'm just not convinced he's got that tackling ability that you would want in a 6.
No, I'm not convinced either, to be honest. But it's maybe just about getting the right combinations in there that you can make up some of his deficiencies in terms of how aggressive he is off the ball. With other players in there, if you maybe had Mulligan and Chaiwa in there, for example, you could maybe get away with it. But the right wing back obviously enables that. Or the signing of a right wing back enables that a wee bit. I think just generally, I don't know what you think, but I've seen quite a lot of the style of play comments coming back out as well, which is always an interesting one. Style of play is always an issue when you're getting beat. And look, I think the fact of the matter is that the teams that do well in this league, outside of the Old Firm, the football quite often is not hugely attractive on the eye. But look at St Mirren on Saturday night. I mean, they probably, in terms of style of play, probably the team that wants the ball least in this league, and yet they go to Hampden and score 4 goals in a semi-final with 2 big men up front, and I didn't really see any of their fans talking about style of play afterwards.
I think, the style of play thing is a bit of a myth sometimes. I think it does hold a certain validity when you start losing games. If the style of football is boring to watch, that's it can turn a lot quicker. But I personally just don't see the complaints about style of play over the piece of David Gray's tenure so far. I don't think we've been boring to watch at all, to be honest. So we're direct at times, but direct doesn't necessarily mean boring or anything like that. I still think we're an exciting team to watch.
The antithesis of Grey ball is Nick Montgomery's football, almost. And 99.9% of the fan base didn't enjoy that. I know I certainly didn't enjoy watching Montgomery ball or Monty ball, whatever it was called. It was patient, but it was patient in the extreme. It was like, no, after you, no, after you, after you, no, after you. Just passing it about between the two centre backs, and trying to get players. He was so, what's the word? So technocratic, so focused on just playing rigid, playing his style of football, that this is a bit more fluid. It's a bit more, we'll play with what we've got.
Which is what he said when he first came in, that he was going to be looked to be very adaptable. In a slight defence of Nick Montgomery, he did have an absolute basket case of a behind the scenes club to back him up. So that's maybe a slight defence. But I think Gray obviously knows the league so well and knows to be adaptable for different games. So I just don't see these complaints, to be honest.
Well, boys, as we all know, David Gray is a massive lover of the podcast. I've got absolutely no proof of that.
Fuck.
I know, but we're going to help him out. He's listening now, guys. He's actually live. His name in the comments is Jason Ladd 640. But if he is listening, or if he does listen to this back, we're going to give him a few bits of advice. So, Craig, you get the ball rolling. What does Gray need to do at the moment to quickly not just steady the ship, get some more wins on that left-hand column of the table?
Attack the end of either halves. That would be my advice. Attack. Don't suck in. Don't try and defend. Let's attack and be positive towards the end of either half. End it on the front foot. That would be my advice.
Liam, have you ever heard a more Greg thing be said by someone on this podcast not called Greg? Because that was spitting image stuff, Craig. I like the concept though. Liam, what are you thinking?
I'm not going to name individuals, but I'll just say, remember what lineup and system got you through the rough times last season, and use those players.
Well, I am going to name names because I say sometimes you need them in the team, sometimes you need them out the team. We need a bit of that Iceman. We need Josh Campbell playing games for Hibernian Football Club. And you know who else we need playing games for Hibernian Football Club? Ellie Yuan. And I've actually heard that he might be back after the break. We also need a bit of Dylan Levitt back in our lives. That is three players that I'd be
I don't know if it will be appendicitis. That's probably quite a long one, to be fair. That's a bad job.
No, I agree. He did say after the...
Did he?
Well, he said after an international break. He should be. I don't know if that maybe means back in training, to be fair. That maybe doesn't mean back in squads.
Joe Newell's available as well, you would think, for this weekend. And he'd be a straight, as soon as he's good to go, he'd be straight in for Barlassa for me.
I think he offers a similar level of footballing ability, but less of a toe in a caravan look.
Yes. But you got to suggest something else, Harry.
No, I was just going to say there was one point in the first half where Barlasser tried to overlap, Jack Hyardale, and by the time he'd finished overlapping him, Livy were on the attack. It's just not his game whenever he has to run it. It's a shame.
It's going to be hilarious to see the MacArthurs implode when they go from Barlasser to Joe Newell. From one
no, I was going to say, Mikey's throwing shade at me. I'll take the shade as it's thrown. Look here. I will happily see Joe Newell play for this football club ahead of Barlasser 10 times out of 10. Believe me, please. But yeah, no. And one other thing, how's that? I've just literally said I'd have Newell instead, Jacob.
I'm harsh on Barlasser. Just
well,
it's not bad.
I grow up. Anyway, Liam, you're going to hate this next question, so I'm going to pose it to Craig. But one thing that Ewan has mentioned is he thinks that there needs to be a plan B, aka, as a lot of people in the comments and on Twitter are saying, we need a change of system / formation. He thinks we need to do something slightly different from what we're doing at the moment. Do you think that a structure change in the team could make a difference? Have we actually got the right players to make that difference?
I don't know if I trust our ability at right back as an out and out right back. I don't know if we've got that player in the squad yet to see if Meg was got the ability for that. I certainly would have worries with Chris Cadden as the right back of a four at the moment, unfortunately. Left back I have less worries about because we've got Jordan Abita there, so I'd be quite content with him at left back if you were looking at a four. It's difficult to say, mate. Obviously, we've seen what switching system done for us last year, in terms of it ultimately turned our season around. But again, on the eye test, I just don't believe that the system is failing us that badly, that in over 90 minutes in a game that we're doing that poorly. I really don't. I think, obviously, as we've said before, lots of things have gone against us. Self-inflicted, a lot of them. Let's be honest. It's not. I'm not saying all decisions have gone against us or anything, but at important times of the games, we've switched off and made silly errors that ultimately have cost us so far this season, and have meant that we're at this stage with as many draws as we are. I think if we were discussing you and Ewan at the game, Harry, that if we play the same way in this second round of fixtures, if you like, I would imagine that we would sit with a few more points than we do at the moment. I don't know what you guys think on that, but I certainly feel, just based on 90 minutes, if we play the same way, we'll do okay.
I agree. I think we'd pick up more points with this same round again. I think we've left a lot of points out there on the table, and I know people don't really love talking about it, but the underlying data probably backs that up as well in terms of chances that we've created versus chances conceded. For example, second most big chances in the league, third most in terms of chances created, and XG as well. So I do think the underlying data says that we're going to improve, which will give, I think, people in the club some confidence as well that things are going to get better in the short term. Nothing more to say on that, to be honest.
Right. Well, I've got a bit of a daft game. Is there anything else you want to talk on about the weekend or about the club at the moment? Or are you happy for me to play a stupid new game I've literally thought of on the spot that I can throw at you?
Go on then.
Go for it.
Right, so I don't know what your guys' opinion is on ChatGPT, but obviously it can sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. So I've asked our friend Mr. GPT. I've literally typed in the sentence, please give me a one-line description of the top 5 current Hibs players. So I'm going to give you the description, and you both just have to guess the Hibs player that it's describing. It's almost like Guess Who, but ChatGPT edition.
Right.
Right. Are you happy to just compete it out? I'll say the full sentence and you can just guess who it's saying.
Okay.
Right. So number 1, a lightning fast winger known for his pace, creativity, and relentless energy in attack.
Martin Boyle.
Jake, agree or disagree?
Is this current team only?
Yeah, I've typed current team.
Oh, shit.
Current Hibs players.
Boyle.
Correct.
Craig's better at this than normal Guess Who already.
That's the first time he's scored in fucking months, man. Right, number 2. A dynamic forward with strong dribbling skills and a knack for scoring crucial goals.
Ellie Yuan.
Cleejay.
All right, Liam's on fire here. Jesus,
It just felt it would be boring to say the same guy.
Yeah, in fact. The team's midfield. So number 3. Sorry, the team's midfield engine offering composure, passing range, and leadership.
Jonio.
Fuck off.
Yeah, we're actually finding out exactly what would happen if Liam would play fucking Guess Who. All right, number 5, a technically gifted midfielder who dictates play with sharp vision and precise passing.
Levitt.
You're going to get 2 guesses. I was about to say Levitt.
Since when?
Since always.
I didn't actually establish the rules, but I'll give you both a point for that then. Craig, you're on the board. It was Levitt. And the last one, the experienced goalkeeper who provides stability and guidance from the back.
Salinger.
It's got to be Salinger.
David Marshall.
Shut up.
As I said, sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Yeah, does do some wild shit like that with football, doesn't it?
Oh, I know. Yeah, for some reason it thinks that because Marshall's still employed by the club, he's actually still a player. That was really daft. As I said, that might have been crap. I just thought it'd be funny to do something a bit different.
That was good.
Aye.
I won, so it was good.
Mate, in fact, we'll do it every week just as long as you keep winning. I've been on the GeoGuessr grind, by the way. Love that. Sorry, that's a different story for another time. But boys, we are back in action against St Mirren this weekend. let's guess do score. Actually, we could build a team quickly. What changes, if any, would you make from the weekend?
It's difficult because St Mirren obviously are quite a direct team, physical team. I'd be wanting Mulligan in the midfield to try and help combat. I forgot the name of the Irish guy.
Killian Phillips.
Killian Phillips, to try and help deal with him, because I think he's definitely a danger running power. I know what Liam's going to say already, so you don't even need to say it. He was suggested. Yes, I know. The right wing back then, who do you play there? I'd probably go back to Cadden. I think he's good enough over the piece. Obviously hasn't been in great form recently, but there's always time. Did we start with a beat at the weekend? I think we did, so I'd probably stick with that.
What about front two?
Options. Front two. That's a good question. Very good question. Boyle and Cleege. Stick with it. There you go.
Anything different from you, Liam?
I definitely will Bowie and Cleege up top. I think we just need to go with three runners in midfield to match. Honestly, and I know it sounds mental, but that is the centre of the park for them. It's like Land of the Giants. Mark O'Hara's a big guy. Killian Phillips is huge for that position, and Bacchus isn't exactly small either. I just think set pieces are going to be so important. Mandron and Lundelu, who looks like an unbelievable find for them, by the way. I think they're going to cause us some problems too. So I think we need to be mindful of that and go with size and go with athleticism in the middle of the park. So I would go a midfield three: Chaiwa, Mulligan, and Campbell.
Campbell.
Yeah, and I would stick with Obita because I think his size will be important. I'd bring Chris Cadden back in. I'd also bring Warren Hora back in for Rocky Bashiri. I just think he's better in that position at right centre back, to be honest.
Sorry, I thought you were finished.
None you.
I was just going to say, just to kind of touch on your point about St Mirren in the midfield being Land of the Giants. Do you think there's maybe something to be learned from St Mirren over the last couple of years, certainly? Because I think their recruitment strategy is very, very clear. Like they recruit big, athletic, strong, good runners. Do you think there's maybe something to be learned that these players are just effective in this league, and with a bigger budget as well, you could recruit that type of player and do better?
Are they effective in this league though? Because Mandron was hopeless for Motherwell and they didn't want him, so he went to St Mirren. Alex Gogic was on the scrap heap at us, didn't want him.
Was it?
Pretty sure Declan John was not really wanted by someone else in this league. Forget who else. Killian Phillips was at Aberdeen. No, he wasn't. Where was Killian Phillips again? Was it Aberdeen? He was at Aberdeen. He was hopeless. Wasn't really wanted. So it's like they're not even effective in this league. They're just effective for St Mirren in the way they play. It's like they recruit to an absolute type. And I get the sense that Stevie Robinson's got quite a lot of control over recruitment there as well, and that's why the club is the way it is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about them just being effective in this league. I just think that they know what they want. They know what they are. They go through bad spells in the season, but they've ultimately got faith in Robinson to turn it around, and people don't start wetting the bed when there's a few dodgy results, because they did have a dodgy run earlier on in the season. And you'll remember, Ewan was saying they've got no chance of winning at the weekend, and I said, no, Ewan, St Mirren will definitely beat Motherwell. And
yeah, take that. Defend yourself, Ewan. Oh wait, you're at a chocolate factory. Fuck off. Aye. All right, let's wrap it up, boys. What are we doing for score predictions?
I'm going to take inspiration off your man Michael Murphy in the chat. He's saying it's proper heavy given we're sitting third in the league, and I would agree. And I think that maybe the feeling has been influenced by some of the bedwetters on Twitter, but I'm going to go for a nice positive 3-0 victory for Hibs. They're going to be in a cup hangover. There you go.
Oof.
Go on, Liam.
Oh, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go 3-2 Hibs. I just think that I think both teams will go for it. I think I'll finish 3-2.
Right. As we know, I'm normally a bit too optimistic when it comes to the old predictions. And iGolf J Tweetler 4097 says 1 each. I'm going to have to disagree because I think the score is going to be 6-0 Hibs. I think we're going to go there and get pumped up. No, I'm actually feeling quite confident. I reckon we'll go there. Don't know about the old clean sheet, so I'll say 3-1. I'll mix up between the players. But guys, we need to be better. I can't be bothered moping around. Thank you very much for calling us out, Michael. I think we deserved it. We'll be back after Hibs pumps it in 6-0.
I'm sorry.
I don't think we were mopey. We might have borderlined it. We tried to be positive, but it's kind of hard after.
Just to underline and underscore what you said, I'm still feeling good about this season. Yeah. I definitely am still feeling good about this season and the remainder of this season. It's just a bump in the road. That's all it was. And as I like to say to people, when you're winning, it feels like you're never going to lose. But when you're losing, it feels like you're never going to win. And when you're drawing, who knows what's going to happen?
Everybody's raging still.
that was like maybe one more. If you'd added one more thing in, we were entering Michael Scott range there.
No, got my world's best boss mug on the desk.
Trick or treat, won the cabbage. We will see you next
60% of the time it works every time.
Goodbye.
Cheers.